just like the.
A little bit right there.
Yeah, right there. And I didn't know if it's going to be a sinkhole or what. And I
It
thought,
could
well,
be. Well, it could be. They left that hole and it's causing us road problems
Yeah.
too. So
So I thought somebody better look at it for me.
yeah, trust me, we could have a person busy full time just hawking
Oh, I'm
utility
sure.
companies.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
mean, ugh. Not very fun.
Yeah.
to call to order the Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 meeting of the Danville City Council. Madam Clerk, roll call to establish a quorum, please.
Mayor Ricky Williams Jr.
Present.
Alderman Heidi Wilson.
Present.
Carolyn Wands. James Bouchard.
Present.
Bob Iverson.
Present.
Brenda Brown. Mike O'Kane.
Here.
Mike Poor.
Here.
Rick Streebing.
Here.
Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Ethan Burt.
Present.
Eve Ludwig.
Present.
Tricia Teague. Robert Williams.
Present.
Darren York.
Present.
12 present.
12 present. We do have a quorum. At this time, we will have the invocation by the Reverend James Yonkers, pastor from Emmanuel Lutheran Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Alderman Ludwig. Please rise.
Let's pray. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dearest Lord, you created us and redeemed each of us through the death of your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. You have blessed us with our daily bread, all that we need to support this body and life. And you have enabled us here at this meeting, dear Lord, we pray, to fulfill our vocations in service to you and to the city of Danville. By your grace, bless us with your Elios and Sophia, your mercy and your grace and wisdom, so that we might serve your people. Bless our town and community, so that we might live in peace and quietness. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, if you would like to share with us about anything of the church or anything that you all have coming up or going on.
Well, right now, tonight, I might have to leave a little early. We have our evening session of our preschool registration going on. We'll be having approximately 50 students this year, which is an increase again from last year. We started our preschool program about 3 years ago when the development of the Danville Lutheran system. And now we have the preschool at Emmanuel. It's a great preschool. If you have any children, we'd love to have them. We'd love to serve you. And we welcome everyone who needs to come. We try to make it possible for all children to come and have their preschool at Emmanuel. We respect everyone else, of course, too.
Thank you, Reverend Yonkers. Appreciate everything that you and the church do for the community.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, you have before you the minutes of the July 19th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that Alderwoman Teague has joined the dais. At this time, you also have the agenda for this evening. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. I do not have any proclamations or board or committee of personnel appointments this week, but I will have some for you next time. Are there any reports of boards, agencies, or commissions? Seeing none, I have a couple of items of information for you. First, I just want to say thank you to Mona Kennett, my assistant. Today is her 1-year anniversary, and she has been a godsend and a great help to me and to the city of Danville and to our citizens. I also want to apologize to all of our team because in the pandemic, I have missed a lot of anniversaries, 20th anniversaries, 30th anniversaries, and so on. And I have a little bit of catching up yet to do. So Mona and I are working on that, but I just want to give a shout out because one passed recently. Our city clerk, Lisa Monson, celebrated 31 years with us last Friday. And just a little more than a month ago, on June 25th, our Human Relations Administrator, Sandra Finch, celebrated her 32nd anniversary with us. And we're doing a little checking, but we believe they may be the longest tenured employees at the city now. So, ladies, we just thank you all for your service and everything that you do. We also have a big First Friday coming up, and Administrator, would you like to?
Sure, yeah. So Friday is the Back to School Bash in downtown Danville. This event is spanning 3 blocks all the way from the Danville Public Library to Temple Plaza. It encompasses a school supply giveaway, lots of engagement with community partners, a sidewalk chalk competition, a touch a truck activity, summer sounds, food trucks. It should be a ton of fun. And it's from 5 to 9 p.m. on Friday.
Thank you. Looking forward to having a lot of folks downtown. I know at this time also in part, Danville Mass Transit in partnership with a number of agencies, including WITY, is doing a Stuff the Bus. Director, I know that we've had a couple of days pass already.
We had events Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of last week. This week to Thursday from 3 to 6 will be at Education Personnel Credit Union right across the street. Friday will be at Toyota of Danville, and Saturday morning from 9 to 12 will be at McDonald's on North Vermilion.
Awesome, thank you. So there are still many opportunities to donate supplies for our students if you haven't had a chance to do so yet. I'll encourage everyone to do that. On a more somber note, unfortunately, I have to send our love and thoughts and prayers to the Hightower family on the loss of Derek. That was very unexpected and sudden. So please know that we love you and you're in our prayers. At this time, Madam Clerk, are there any petitions, communications, or audience comments?
Yes, we have a few, Mayor. Has everyone had a chance to fill out a yellow card who wishes to speak this evening? Okay, when I call your name, we'll give you 3 minutes to speak. Please come to the podium. Pamela Gorman regarding the trailer ordinance.
Hi, good evening. My statement tonight is in regards to the ordinance regarding the parking of recreational vehicles, boats, and trailers in residence driveways. My first statement is that I would like to know how long this ordinance has been on the books. In December of 2008 and August of 2018, there were changes made, but since then, no one has paid any attention to it until now. Just because someone poked the bear and either complained or notified the city regarding this, now we are all hearing about it. We currently have a 30-foot camper, but prior to that, we had a pop-up in the exact same spot for approximately 3 to 4 years with nothing ever mentioned regarding this ordinance. There's also been mention that the RV owner should not have made the purchase without having a place to store it. Honestly, when we purchased this camper, we knew nothing about this ordinance, and I'm sure that over half of the Danville residents are also not aware of this ordinance, and possibly even members of the council itself. We pay our own property taxes, and in my opinion, we should be able to have our possessions parked on our land. When I go out and purchase a new car, I don't wonder about the ordinance because it's my property. I pay for it. I pay the license and the sticker fees and everything and keep it registered. I've been to a previous meeting and brought this idea up again, and I will bring it up again, about paying a yearly fee to the city, which allows us to have our camper in the driveway. Yes, that is more money, but it is a lot cheaper than $30 to $50 a month for storage, which is what we're currently doing. I feel that if someone is accountable, such as those of us who come here and try to stick up for ourselves and prove our point, that we are willing to go along with the rules, just give us a little bit of leeway here. If there's people that are making these offenses, punish them, not all of us. It's not our fault that we don't have a side yard or a backyard. We have a nice camper. It's in good shape. It's always licensed. And I feel that if you did do something such as that, where you would have a fee like every summer that you could pay, that the people that want to follow the rules would pay it. I mean, we don't want to not follow rules. We just want to know why all of a sudden this has been brought to everyone's attention. And I just ask that before you make your vote tonight, you take into consideration some of the statements that I've made and think about the fact that we have grandchildren that we're trying to take camping and do recreational fun things with, and we're not hurting anybody. And there's a lot of other things going on that really need addressed more so than this, I feel. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mrs. Gorman.
Tammy Pollitt of Potomac, Illinois, regarding Birth to 5, Illinois.
Hi, good evening. I am Tammy Pollitt. I live in Potomac, and I am the regional manager for Vermilion County's Birth to 5 Illinois program. I've been in the early childhood field for 24 years now, so this is my calling, right? I sent you all an email yesterday just to give you a little information about what Birth to 5 is. So you should have got that email. If you did not, let me know. I'll be happy to send that. But did you know that there's roughly 6,000 children in Vermilion County? Only 1,100 of them go to some type of early childhood education setting. Why is that? That's a good question. And that's what we're trying to figure out. So Birth to 5 Illinois is an initiative that the state of Illinois is taking. It was launched in February of 2022. There are several important goals to this work: to support the residents in coming together to address early childhood needs in Vermilion County. Also, to make sure the state policies, funds are matched for our region, and the prioritizing our voices of our families here and our communities. Finally, we have to address the high quality access to early childhood for all children. So I'm responsible for starting 2 councils. One is the Family Council, which will be parents and family and caregivers from birth to age 8. And the other one is called an Action Council. That will be people of Vermilion County, including elected officials, community members, family and child care providers, healthcare employees, business owners, Chamber of Commerce members, and many more. These 2 councils will be the voice of our community. So we will meet, we will come together what we need to do, and so we can take that back to our state so we can tell them what those fundings need to go, where we need that funding to go in the early childhood education field. So I need at least one of you guys to stand up, or ladies, to stand up and help us out by becoming a member of this Action Council and being supportive of this. So I have some flyers here, my business cards here. I would love to talk to you afterwards. Email me, call me. We'll set up a meeting, but I'd love to meet with you to see how you guys can help support this and help the children in Vermilion County. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard, and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Randy Osgood of Danville regarding the trailers.
Yes, I'm back. Tonight, I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened over the weekend. There are 3 trailers that got together out of Kickapoo. We call them R, C, and A. R noticed that C and A were just really down in the dumps. So he asked them, why are you so gloomy? Well, if the council had voted 2 weeks ago like they'd said they were going to, we could go home. But we're not allowed to. And so I just looked at, what do you mean? Well, C says, well, where I live at, 45-foot driveway. And they've got a side pad there that where the car used to park. They don't have that car anymore. I'm only 13 feet long, 6.5 feet wide, 4.5 feet tall. I don't block anything from anybody, but there's no access to the backyard because of hills. That's when A pipes up. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. There's no sidewalks for me. Driveway's 60 feet long, and I'm only 35 feet. So there's 25 feet there in front of me. I'm perfectly fine with, but they didn't vote on it. And now they're saying that we have to ask permission, and my owner tried that last year and was denied permission for his 30 days. R didn't know what to say then. He said, well, I know that 15 feet isn't a whole lot, but where I'm at, it's been 5 feet for over 25 years. Because that's what we were told when they put the pad in. 5 feet, just a walking space. But here's something else. My owner worked for the Danville Police Department just shy of 40 years. 30 years of that, over 30 years of that was as an officer, sworn officer. He was the first officer ever in the Danville Police Department to be certified by the state and accredited by the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration as an accident reconstructionist. All that time with the police department, he never heard once of anybody being hit by a vehicle running around something that was parked on the side of the road that's off of the street. There's a few kids that got hit running between cars parked on the street, and a few adults that were walking down the street, but nobody walking from around an object. So that these 3 trailers just wondering about more about that, and they piped up, says, even a fence gets closer to the street than us, they're usually just kept 10 feet, not 15 feet. So maybe you take into consideration tonight, because these trailers are even out there thinking, the way this ordinance is written is no different from what it was a long time ago, except for you've added the word campers in there and the area about dilapidated. It is the exact same ordinance as it was, just with a little bit of clarification. If you'd really just think about it and add in a distance where they can park in their driveways, where it's 5 feet where it has been for decades, 10 feet like a fence, or the 15 feet you brought up, that'd be so much better for a lot of people in this town that do pay taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Osgood.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council this evening? Seeing none, I would like to make one comment. Mrs. Gorman, you asked about the enforcement. What's happened is that essentially these laws have been on the book for a long time, longer than some people at this dais have been alive. And unfortunately, when we have a complaint, we have to comply with the law. And if we make one person comply, then we've got to work to make all the people comply. And so that's why maybe you've been hearing about this lately when you hadn't heard about it before, is because unfortunately people have been complaining and we've had a lot of complaints. And that's why I think the council, our corporation council and I worked really hard to bring something that we thought would help you all and them. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I know two of our alderwomen, Vice Chairman Pickering and Alderwoman Ludwig, have been working hard on this. And I don't think that there's ever going to be a way that we're going to satisfy everyone, but I hope that whatever we come up with in the end can be helpful to some people. So I apologize if we're not able to get where you hope that we should be. At this time, we don't have any zoning petitions. However, you do have the payrolls of July 22nd and 29th of 2022. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown, O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. You also have before you this evening the vouchers payable from July 26th and August 2nd, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown, O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. At this time, we will receive our Public Services Committee report. Chairman Streebing.
Thank you, Mayor. Puts us 11A, the city clerk's report and the approval of her license. You have anything for us this evening, Ms. Munson?
No, Chairman, I do not.
Okay. So it puts us approval of a license in front of you. All those in favor signify by saying, oh, I need a motion in a second. I'm sorry.
Well, you
I'll make the motion and I need a second.
Second.
There we go. I'm back on it now. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Which is 11B. We have an ordinance amending Danville City Code, Chapter 150, the zoning code. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. Need a second, please.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Is there any questions on this 11B?
I would just like it to be noted that it should read 150.030 instead of 150.3.
We'll note that. Thank you, Vice Chairman.
Is there any
Any
other
discussion or
questions?
debate?
Any? Mike, go ahead.
Well, first off, I'd like to have our attorney, Mr. Simon, tell us what the procedure is when we get to ordinance 42 and the time it takes to go through that.
You're talking about the administrative adjudication process?
Well,
That's chapter 42, as I
okay,
recall.
well, this says that 42, if it gets to a certain point, you got to follow 42.
Yes,
fines
what
and bills.
happens, what essentially happens with any property type maintenance code situation is if an inspector observes what he believes is a violation, he will send what we call a courtesy letter that notifies the homeowner of the situation. In this case, it would relate to this particular ordinance. If the owner does not do anything about it, then the inspector on a subsequent inspection, when they're back in that particular sector of their area, will issue a citation, and the citation will be mailed. It typically comes to us, meaning us in the legal department, and a complaint along with the citation is drafted and sent to the homeowner. A city court date, which is the court that meets here on Thursday afternoon every week. The case is scheduled for an initial appearance. If the owner appears, he is given, or she is given, the right to a trial or can enter a plea. If they enter a plea, it's a plea agreement. And if it's a trial is scheduled and there is a hearing on the trial. And both the city and the owner of the property are given a right to present evidence. Hearing officer will rule in one party's favor or the other party. If the hearing officer rules in favor of the owner, the case will be dismissed. Not guilty, in essence, not liable is what we actually call it. If the hearing officer rules against the owner, a fine and court costs will be assessed, and the owner will be requested to abate the situation. In this case, remove or relocate the item in question. And frankly, after that, if the owner fails to pay the fine and the court costs, then it can go over across the street to small claims court. We have hundreds and hundreds of cases in small claims court. We have hundreds and hundreds of cases involving property maintenance in the city court system. So that's the procedural process.
Okay. And then our city inspectors go by, the city split up into 3 areas.
Yes.
And the areas are split up into 10, that area is split up into 10 areas.
They are very much no different than
So
it has been for years.
So only once every 10 days do they go by a place to look at it, in theory.
In theory, they often go,
And-
between sectors, depending if they happen to have a call that they need, which happens quite often. Somebody calls a resident, a citizen with a complaint in another sector, they will deviate and go over to that sector and inspect
And then-
at that time.
It takes about 7 days sometimes to get a letter out to them, plus or minus weekends and stuff.
Yeah, it can. It doesn't always.
And then, didn't we just change our ordinance for, you're allowed up to 35 days to get them set up into court?
A court date is assigned. It can vary.
But you have 35 days to set a court date up, right? Wasn't that the
I don't.
latest ordinance that you brought to us?
I don't recall 35 days to set up a court date.
Well,
No,
I thought there was a limit of,
Maybe.
you would have it done by 35 days or something.
I don't recall that.
And then if they.
That would be an order, Vice Chairman, if I may, that would be an order. You have 30 days to, at longest 35 days for the hearing officer to issue the ruling.
His or her opinion.
His or her written
Yes.
opinion, yes.
And then,
But they usually sign their opinions within a few days after the hearing, unless for some reason they can't get something done.
and then if a person the city's working to get something rectified, if they ask for an extension, or they can get it bumped to another time period, which would be another week or month or whatever.
If the city wants something, if an owner wants an extension, they can file a motion in city court. If the city wants an extension, they can file a motion in city court. So both parties can be present when that issue comes up before the hearing officer.
Okay, so it may take 75 days to me, in my simple math, that to reconcile something with ordinance 42 on this.
Or it could take,
It may not, I agree.
and more often than not, it does not.
Okay. And then, I don't like the ordinance. I think it's leaving too many holes in things. We're making these people have a license on these trailers or campers or whatever. We don't do it for cars. I can point out all kinds of cars all over town that have been parked illegally in backyards and stuff for years. We don't do anything about it. And then who controls, if they get 30 days to park on the park, who's counting? I mean, is it every 10 days that they come by, do they count as one or what?
No, what happens is if somebody wants to avail themselves of the opportunity to park for 30 days, they can contact Public Works. Carl handles that. He keeps track of that. They can do a solid 30-day consecutive days. They can break it up and use a day at a time or a couple of days at a time. And Carl keeps track of that.
It doesn't say.
Carl doesn't have to say that. Somebody's got to, that would be somebody who administers it. We have ordinances all over the books that don't name individuals who administer. As far as the business with the cars, we are constantly dealing with unlicensed cars that are sitting on property. Now, you brought up an issue with cars and you happen to have said in the backyard. This
Or
ordinance
side yard.
provides for something in the backyard as well. But we are constantly dealing with cars that are inoperable or do not have license plates, and they will receive, when spotted, ordinance violations. Can we get every single one? Of course not. This is a big city with a lot of property. Some of it's vacant, a lot of it's vacant. And we have to find out who owns the property before we can send any kind of a notice. So those people will have, and anyone who gets a notice gets due process.
Okay, well, I just think we're trying to change something and we don't have everything put together. It just scares me that we're creating an ordinance that is going to be hard to enforce with the inspectors and whatever. And
They
I don't think we're there yet.
Well, they have to enforce if it isn't passed, and I'm not saying you should pass it or not, this is a policy issue that you all on the council have to decide when the vote is called. However, the inspectors have been enforcing this ordinance as currently written, obviously not the draft, that provides where, certain items can be parked, et cetera. So they have been enforcing it and all. Mechanically or procedurally, how they do it, other than through the court process. I believe you probably know that because I believe Mrs. O'Kane served as an inspector for a period of time.
Is that all, Mike?
That's all I got.
Anybody else have any questions?
Just a remark. I would have it, grant a lot more allowance to the owner, particularly for driveways and such, but just a remark.
My question was more procedural. I'm curious as to why it didn't come before committee last week. And I'm figuring there's procedural reason for that. I just don't know what that is.
Because it already came before the council previously.
Okay.
Mike?
Okay, this has been on the book since 2008, basically the same ordinance. All we did was added a few words.
Well, this ordinance, the basic ordinance has been on the books for a number of years. I don't recall exactly when it was adopted. It was around 2008 though. And it has been on the books for a long time in terms of where these items can be parked, which is obviously the issue of concern here and all. And it's been enforced.
Okay, definition of a improved hard surface.
That can be a concrete surface. It can be a paver surface. It can be a blacktop surface. It can be packed gravel surface.
'Cause I know parking lots and things have to be 5 years basically to make them a concrete or asphalt surface.
It actually, I think it cannot be gravel.
Correct. It could be oil, it could be an oil and
Oil
chip
and chip
surface, which would
surface, like
comply, but
everything
not
else that you
gravel.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can't be
Council is-
limestone and things like, for a certain period it can, but then it has to be upgraded to
Yeah,
sealed.
it would be part of the
surface.
building permit process where they determine that.
I mean, the bottom line is, obviously, some of these items can be heavy, especially if they have motors in them. And at least as explained to me, because it was adopted before I got here, that they want to prevent these things from sinking and getting stuck in the ground.
Yeah. And that's my understanding too. I just wanted to know a definition of a hard surface because you could put pea gravel down and you're going to sink anyway. Problem with the corner lot, I don't understand. You know, we're going to allow parking in side or rear yards, excluding side yards on corner lots. What's the reason?
That was already in there.
That's the current
That's
ordinance.
the
So
current.
that's what I'm saying. Why is it in there? I mean, you can have a 200-foot corner lot, 200-foot deep, that you could have plenty of room to park away from the intersection and not cause anybody any problems. I've got more problems. I've got across from Garfield School, there's this food trucks that park constantly, almost blocking the drive and sometimes even parking Garfield School. Well, what used to be Garfield School. Over by the old Lincoln School, there's food trucks that park. I get more complaints on that and on boats and lawn mowing trailers and things like that being parked than I do on motorhomes or anything. As some people ask, why is this all of a sudden being so talked about when it's been on the books for 14 years? Just this basic same language.
As you know, as I mentioned earlier, Chairman, we've had a lot of phone calls and people complaining about it, and emails of folks complaining about campers. The inspectors get calls about it, and so, you know, when you get a certain number of, we have to enforce the laws that we have, do the best that we can to enforce the laws, and sometimes even when we take all the steps and go through the court process and win, things still don't happen. But it's still our job to enforce them.
Right. And I understand that, but your camping season could be over by the time any of these go to court. I mean, you get cited in the spring and may not have any resolve until the winter. I mean, I don't know. I just think there's more important things to be concentrating on.
Oh, yes.
I got a quick question.
Mike?
I was told that a small boat or something can be parked in the yard, didn't have to be on a hard surface. Are we being told that it has to be on a hard surface now?
Says in here, it does.
Says what?
Okay, because I don't think the inspectors don't think it has to be on a hard surface for the boats.
If it's a motorized vehicle, it has to be. I mean, I don't know that you have to have a canoe on a hard surface.
Well, okay, well, I'm just going by what I've been told.
And I believe you're right. I think this is only in 4, where it says it temporarily parked in an improved surface for 30 days. That's the only place you see that. And I believe, from what I've been told, you can park it in the grass. Not a drivable recreation vehicle, but a camper and that you can, from what I've been told. The only place it says hard surface is section 4. But if you go back and look at the ordinance, I don't think it specifies it has to be on a hard surface.
I mean, if somebody parks something in a backyard with a
Right,
fence,
it
doesn't have to.
It doesn't
inspectors
have
can't
to
get to it to tell what it is anyway.
It doesn't have to be, from what I've seen and what I've looked at, it does not have to be a hard surface. It can be in the grass.
all through this ordinance, it says such objects, and that includes recreational vehicles, campers, watercraft, off-road vehicles, and utility trailers.
Right.
Such objects, such objects, such objects.
Right.
And they must be on,
That's in section 4. If you look at section 4, that's for the 30 days.
Because in section 3, it says that all those objects can be parked in side or rear yards, but it doesn't specify
No.
what the surface is. Now, if you go into the other ordinances prior, it does say that any vehicle that can be driven has to be on a hard improved surface.
Correct.
The others do not, such
Correct.
as the watercraft.
And do those other ordinances prior define the hard surface? Is there, because that was my question, is if we're having conversation about what constitutes a hard surface and what's the definition of a hard surface, and legal was saying one thing, engineering was saying something different, where's the actual documentation so that a person who is at home knows what a hard surface is?
I'm 90% sure it's spelled out in the ordinance, but I know for sure that gravel is not an option. I looked because I recently had the inspectors to my home for a parking pad that I'm having redone, and you cannot put gravel in your yard. It's Engineer Cole, is it the parking, what kind of specified parking purposes you have is listed in the ordinance, correct?
I mean, I've personally read it at some, I don't know if it's in this ordinance or elsewhere in the ordinances, but it is defined.
Right.
So
Okay.
I wish I could point you a better direction.
Inspectors need to,
12 inches base.
well, most of the things I complain about, I've got gravel and 12 inches of grass on growing through it.
And what I will say is the reason it was changed is because originally it said required yards. Nobody knew what required yards meant. So that's why that wording was changed.
And required yards wouldn't include a driveway. It would just include yards.
Right.
So it just clarifies where you can park.
Right.
Which would now be a driveway. And it would be difficult for the inspectors to say, oh yeah, you can park in this yard, but that's not a driveway, which is the places where people have been parking for those 30 days. So this gives that kind of clarification to this ordinance.
A required yard could also be your front lawn.
I mean, it's not in this, but yes, you're right.
Right. So that was just a clarification that we did. What I will say, and I understand the 15 feet, we worked on this and worked on it and tried to figure out something. We had a lot of feedback, so we did take it out. My suggestion is, if the only reason you're voting against this is because of the 15 feet, this can be, I mean, you can later on bring an amendment back and amend this again if someone comes up with some kind of amendment for 15 feet. We could not come up with that. So I appreciate what everybody said. I understand it, but we just could not come up with anything that would satisfy everyone. So that's why we did not include it. That's why we took it off. So, but what I will say, what we have put on here, like we changed the required yards because we did not know what that meant. And so we did change it to improved hard surfaces. Number 5, actually, the only thing that we really changed was 4. And that was just the wording. It means the same except the wording. Number 5, I believe, let's see, 5 was added. 6 was added because of the dilapidation. That's, our old one does not have anything about dilapidated campers or anything. So that was added because of that. And number 7 was the painting. It cannot be painted. It has to be in an approved spray booth. That was added. Number 8 was the fining, how we go through the violations and that. So I would love to see this passed. And if any of you later on have a suggestion with the 15 feet, come back with an amendment for it. But right now, I have a camper in my area. It didn't have, it's dilapidated. If it had a license on it, I couldn't do anything about it. But because of this, if we change it, now I can. But now, if right now, if we don't pass this, it can, you know, if it gets licensed, it can sit there.
Anybody else?
Vice Chairman, that's actually one of the complaints that we've had is that, in some neighborhoods, these folks I know take, wonderful care of their trailers. Unfortunately, there are a number of people who don't. And so then neighbors have to look at this rust bucket in their yard, and it is an eyesore to look at. It brings down property values and such. So having no way to address that, currently we don't have. But this does allow that. And I think, you outlining those things, Alderwoman Pickering, is good because it does talk about the state of repair, and it also gives us what steps will be taken if they're in violation. But it does not add 15 feet, or it doesn't add any clarification. It doesn't add any additional places where people can park or, anything like that. Literally, it clarifies things. It adds the part about dilapidation so that people can't have junk in their yard. And number 3, it just allows fees for if people are in violation. It tells you the process for how to handle it. I'm sorry, sir, but it's not a time for, sir, I apologize, but it's not a time for audience comments.
Is there anybody else who's got a question on this?
Only comment I have is I appreciate Alderman Pickering, Alderwoman Ludwig for what they've done. It's a very tough issue. This is really hard to deal with because you're talking about family and friends and neighbors, and you're talking about inches and feet and all that. I wish we could have put it to rest. I think we've got more important issues to take care of with the city, but like I said, this is a tough one, so I just want to say that, and I appreciate you ladies.
Well, I think you're going to revisit it again, especially with the uptick in what's now is going to be proven for boats and all your other stuff that you can utilize your carriers behind your trucks. We're going to be back at this in a month or two. I can guarantee you that.
I'm sure.
Well, I also want to mention that, we've talked about the safety and the blight and those issues, and it's very difficult for us to come to a consensus majority about some of those things because there's many people here that haven't spoken who are very concerned about the safety. And if we put a foot distance of 5 feet or just giving the comp blight permit for any time during the year or 9 months, all of those things are very concerning, or not having any permit. The 15 feet wasn't solving some of the people's problems, and so we couldn't come to a consensus there. And so I think many of these have been visited, many of these ideas of the permit or no permit, or just allowing people to park anywhere they want, or extending it from 15 feet or 20 feet. And we just couldn't come to a consensus. Many drafts have been we've made many different drafts about this issue. And so I think, sometimes we just have to back up and say, this is working, and we just need to make clarification so that our inspectors can, look at the blight and look at these objects that are being parked here and do something about it. So I think that that's sort of where we are right now. And, I really do think we could revisit this, and maybe we could come to some kind of majority, either with safety or with blight issues, and deal with this at another time for the other concerns.
Anybody else have any?
Yeah. I will tell you that in talking about this with my lead inspector, he expressed concern about the 15 feet, not so much in terms of, is this going to work or not? He was concerned that given the configuration of some houses, there's no way anyone could put anything parked in their driveway 15 feet setback from either a sidewalk or a street just because it's a short driveway. But what their concern is, and he's talked with the other two inspectors, is how do we measure the 15 feet? We are not allowed to walk onto the property without permission or an administrative warrant, and we don't want to go get administrative warrants that are on people's property unless it is a very serious situation, i.e. a house that's collapsing or something like that. So they don't have a way of measuring 15 feet. And then you got to decide measuring from what? Is it the tip of the toe? Is it the tip of the front leading edge of the vehicle? What have you? We also talked about, as one of our citizens mentioned, permits. And there was a lot of uproar about that, whether it's paid or not. And of course, our inspectors have to be able to see the permits to begin with. And putting permits, where do they put the permits? I guess it depends on the configuration of the lot and how they park and all. So I have to say, I don't have a position on this because I say this is an issue of policy for you all. But I can tell you, last December and prior to that, when we were talking about safety and blight and all of that, Alderwomen Ludwig and Pickering tried to take all of that into consideration. We have spent hours where they've come up with ideas and asked me to try to craft language to satisfy and meet as many citizens' concerns, both about safety, about blight, and also about the ability to park these items on their property and all. And obviously, people want to be able to use their property the way they want. And we also have zoning regulations that cover all kinds of things that place limitations on property. So, again, this is a policy question, but if nothing else, having received all the calls from members of this council on their ideas, I can assure you that Alderwomen Pickering and Ludwig have worked their heart out to try to come up with something that works for as many people as they can figure out how they can make it work.
Is there anybody else have anything? Well, I can tell you that I know the concession stand that sits on Gilbert Street isn't even within 2 foot. So a lot of times you wonder how anybody can even see down the sidewalk side. So, all right, if there's no further questions, roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Bouchard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown. O'Kane.
No.
Poor.
No.
Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
No.
Yes.
10 yes, the motion carries.
All right, thank you. Puts us to 11C, a resolution authorizing and budget amendment to fiscal year 2022, 2023 Information Technology Division 020 budget. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading. Ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Any questions on 11C's resolution? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Bouchard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown. O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. That puts us to 11D, a resolution approving the submission of a grant application for the 2022 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, or JAG. Make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on resolution 11D? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Wands.
Yes.
Bouchard.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Brown. O'Kane.
Yes.
Poor.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Burt.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. Thank you very much. I don't have any information unless anybody else does.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Streebing. At this time, we will receive our Public Works Committee report. Chairman Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. We will meet in these chambers next Tuesday evening, 6 p.m. Everyone's welcome.
Very good. Are there any items of information for the good of the cause?
I've got a couple.
Yes, Chairman.
We're giving the older children tomorrow. Ambucks Camp is the second week out at the grotto. We had 40 kids last week, which the younger ones will have about 36 to 38 tomorrow. So if you want to come out and watch some kids having a good time, it's going to be nice and sunny, not dreary like it was last week. So we got about 40 of them. The other thing is I'm trying to get to church. I got to get a hold of the pastor probably sometime tomorrow. I did collect the signs. I'm going to try to have a neighborhood group meeting out for the Heights Thursday night at 6:30. I've got 2 or 3 other things all set and ready to go. I just got to get a hold of the preacher and I'll probably do that tomorrow. I've tried all day, but he's out of town or something. So, Hmm? Oh, okay. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman. Vice Chairman.
Yes, Saturday, August the 6th, the Elmwood Playground Civic Group is having an open house at the Owen Lee Nelson Center at 210 Victory Street. It's from 10 a.m. to 2 to showcase the center and how it can be used by our community. There will be music, food, and fun for everyone, and I believe our mayor will be the guest speaker there.
That's correct.
Okay. And I also have something else. Saturday, also August the 6th, and Sunday, August the 7th, the American Legion State Golf Tournament, which will be played at Harrison Park Golf Course and Turtle Run Golf Course. Harrison Park Golf Course will host the opening ceremonies at 8 a.m. on Saturday. The ceremony is worth getting up early to see. They have a presenting of the flag, a flyover, speakers, and presentations. Even if you're not a golfer, I encourage you to go and show your support for our veterans. Saturday evening is at the American Legion. They will have a live auction, paintings by John Jansky, and a live band. And I hope to see you all there.
Chairman Thor.
Center City Neighborhood Group will meet Thursday, 7 p.m. at Central Christian Church.
Very good. Alderwoman Mons.
August 14th, on Payne Street, Emmanuel House will be dedicated. So you might want to keep that in mind. It's the first of their 3 houses right in a row that they have totally restored, and it's ready to be dedicated. That's at 2 p.m. Sunday, the 14th, August the 14th. And also Sunday, the 7th, I think Sunday is the 7th, the Danville Dans play for their finals. They're in the finals this year, so they play at 4:30.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Any other items of information? I have 2. I want to congratulate the Post 210 junior speakers on their state championship. They've won a couple of years in a row, so we're really proud of them. And just want to say thank you to all the folks who volunteer to work with young people in our community. That means a lot. It makes a world of difference in a lot of lives, so we appreciate them. I apologize. We do have need for closed session. Depends on how much the chiefs talk, but we'll hopefully be about 20 minutes. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into closed session under Section 2C2 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss salary schedules and collective bargaining matters, under C2C5 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss the purchase of real property, and under 2C6 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss setting the price for the sale of property. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
We have to do roll call.
Oh, I apologize. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown, O'Kane,
Yes.
Hoare,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague, yes, Williams,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. We are adjourned to closed session. Open session.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are in open session. This time you have before you item 15, a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement with the Danville Firefighters Union, Local 429. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Wands,
Yes.
Bouchard,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Brown, O'Kane,
Yes.
Orr,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Burt,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
13 yes.
13 yes, the motion carries. This time I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone. Be safe.